Lesson 14-4 Comparing Functions. When Miriam looks at the graph of the feeding function, she notices that for small dogs, each increase of 1 pound in weight causes an increase of 1 ounce of food. She concludes that the rate of change of the feeding rule for small dogs is 1 ounce per pound. Number one, express regularity and repeated reasoning. What is the rate of change of the feeding rule for large dogs? Well, if you recall from our lessons from the previous, it is 0.1 ounces per pound for each pound greater than 100. So in that large dog, to be classified for the large dog, they get zero point 0.1 ounce more food for every pound greater than 100 pounds. Miriam compares the rates of change of the feeding rules for each type of dog. She concludes that the feeding rule for smaller dogs has the greatest rate of change. How does the graph in item 3 in lesson 14-3 support Miriam's conclusion? The slope of the graph is steeper for the small dogs. Remember that graph went like this, and then it kind of leveled up a little bit, and then it leveled off even more. Sorry, that should have been a decrease. But it was like the steepest line was here. What parts of the algebraic feeding rules in item 6 in lesson 14-2 support Miriam's conclusion that the small dog has the greatest rate of change? What would we be looking at? If we're looking at the equations, we would be looking at the slopes. The slope of each equation small dogs have a rate of 1 ounce per pound. Small dogs have a rate of 1 ounce per pound. Medium dogs have a rate of 0.5 ounces per pound, and large dogs have a rate of 0.1 ounce per pound. Number 3, dogs in one size category have a greater rate of change in feeding than other dogs. Explain why you think this might be true. And first, let's identify what size dog was that. The greatest rate of change was the smallest dogs. Why do you think smaller dogs can eat more, basically, for each pound of weight that they have? Small dogs tend to have more energy, maybe. Ah, the G shouldn't have been there. Sorry. Thus, burning off their food intake maybe faster. You could have come up with a million reasons as to why we think smaller dogs tend to have this greater rate of change in their feeding than other sized dogs. Go ahead and make sure you get 1 through 3 kind of copied over. On the next slide, you'll see a debriefing question for this section. And I'm sorry I forgot to mention this. We were going to cover questions 1 to 3, and the next set's going to be questions 4 to 7, and then we're going to wrap up this lesson. All right, go ahead and make sure you get this copied over.